the Big Ben Pittsburgh Steelers dilemma ensues, right? Yesterday, it was reported out of the NFL Network that the Steelers want Big Ben to come back. Now, we know that Big Ben has wanted to return to Pittsburgh. But it's interesting that NFL Network would report that the Steelers want Big Ben to return when there have been multiple contradictory and suggestive reports that express the polar opposite. That Kevin-Colbert, the GM, isn't quite enamored and isn't super anxious to bring Big Ben back. Interesting how those reports get out. And mark-Stein, the agent for Big Ben-Roethlisberger, said yesterday that his quarterback is happy to creatively adjust the contract to remain in Pittsburgh, and that the Steelers want to bring Big Ben back, and that they will reach out to him soon to address their cap situation. He says that the fire still burns strong. There's plenty of gas in the tank. Interesting, because the Steelers would have to owe Big Ben $41 million next year. And if they just release him, they'd have to eat $22 million in dead cap money. Now, both sides have acknowledged that they would need to restructure their deals or Big Ben's deal to make this work. At least they're on the same page with that. But this situation is almost eerily familiar to the Rams with Jared Goff. Now, Pittsburgh is entering this offseason $6 million over the cap. So they already have a limited amount of money that they could throw Big Ben. He would have to take a substantial haircut. I'm not just talking about going down from a full fro to a 4 on the sides. He'd have to go full army buzz if he wants to remain in Pittsburgh. Okay. And Kevin-Colbert, the GM of the Steelers, said last week in an eerily familiar, non-committal way, just like Les Snead and Sean McVay said about Jared Goff a couple weeks ago. This is what Kevin-Colbert said. As we sit here today, Big Ben is a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has reiterated to us that he wants to continue to play. We told him we have to look at this current situation. Haven't we heard this tone before? Does that really sound like a guy who would be elated and excited to bring Big Ben back? Now, granted, it's a different situation with the Rams as it is with Big Ben and the Steelers. It's a different situation because the accomplishments of Big Ben and what he's meant to that organization are much greater and carry much more weight than Jared Goff being with the Rams for 4 seasons. But it's pretty clear what's going on here. Big Ben sees Tom Brady playing into his early 40s. He sees Drew Brees playing into his early 40s. He's 38. He desperately wants to continue to play, continue to be in the NFL, and continue to play for the only team that he's known and loved, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers, clearly, in a distant and kind of aloof and evasive manner, are trying to strongly hint at any chance you might want to just retire and make this decision easier on us? Any chance you'd be willing to do that? So the problem is that the Steelers are indebted to Big Ben. This is a guy who has won 2 Super Bowls with the Steelers. He was drafted in 2003. He was the starter. He was drafted in 2003. He was the starter in 2004. And in 2005, he won his first Super Bowl in his second season as the starter, like Patrick Mahomes did. This is a guy who's won 8 division titles, who's made 5 AFC championship appearances, who's reached the Super Bowl 3 times and has won 2 Super Bowls for this organization. So they feel indebted to him. Now, not to the same degree as they do to Terry Bradshaw, but if you think about some of the greats, Aaron Rodgers has only won 1 Super Bowl with Green Bay. Drew Brees has only won 1 Super Bowl with New Orleans. There's only 13 quarterbacks in NFL history that have won multiple Super Bowls, and Big Ben is one of those individuals. So, unfortunately, if you're the Steelers, you have to look at the way that the Lakers handled the end of Kobe Bryant's career in a similar fashion. Now, I'm not saying that the Steelers haven't compensated Big Ben financially, just like the Lakers rewarded Kobe for all of his hard work and his services with that massive 2-year, $42 million deal in his final 2 years of the league. That was a debt of gratitude, a thank you, and demonstrated and sent a message to the rest of the NBA that the Lakers take care of their stars. Now, again, I'm not saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers don't take care of their all-time greats, because they do. And again, as I mentioned, they do compensate their stars well. They've compensated Big Ben financially. He's made over $250 million throughout his career in Pittsburgh. But what I am saying is that, unfortunately, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is one of those situations where you have to put your personal feelings aside. You have to put your personal aspirations for a future and for a younger and better quarterback on the side. You have to table that for another year and be willing to be hamstrung by an older veteran quarterback who deserves the right to finish his career in Pittsburgh. It's the right thing to do. I understand it's going to push your organization back by another year or two, but you're not high enough in the draft order to draft a good quarterback, so you'd have to make a trade anyway. This is a guy who belongs in Pittsburgh. I understand that it's not convenient for you if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't care. He deserves to end his career in Pittsburgh. And it's as simple as that. This is a guy, again, who's played 18 seasons for your franchise, 17 seasons as the starter, 5 AFC championship appearances, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl titles. Only 13 quarterbacks have ever accomplished that feat. Do the man good. Do the right thing. Sign him to 1 year, even if it's for $900,000, which I'm sure he'd be happy. He'd happily accept, and bring him back for one more season. It's the right thing to do.